really what I was able to take out of it is I built this new company in less than 2 years, and it in with probably 100 less engineers, and
A
it's just because,
hundred less.
yeah, 100 less
Dude,
engineers. Yeah,
how many
maybe probably like
engineers did you
115,
have?
115. I had like 150 at the time. I
Oh
think
my God.
150 engineers. It was madness. It was chaos. And
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to 7 to 8, our special series on 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In this special series, I interview $1 million, some $10 million, and even some $1 million business owners who uncovered their twists and turns in their entrepreneurial adventure in order to help you to avoid the potholes and stick to the fast track. Welcome now to center stage, our next special guest. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here today with us because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Chase. Chase, thank you so much for being here with us today.
yeah, no, looking forward to today's talk. So yeah, let's get it on.
Good, because it's all about you. So give us a highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Oh man, I'm a hustler, and I've just been building things for a long time, and I'm a guy that just never gives up, and that's the only reason why I'm here. And I've been had some success is because I never give up. And my story is obviously a lot more deeper than that, but I think that's the crux of like I never die. Like you can't kill me.
I'm glad to hear it. I promise I won't even try today. How's that?
That's good. That's good.
Nice.
One less thing to worry about.
Right. All the things I've got going on today, that was not one of the things I thought I needed to worry about, but now that you pointed it out, great.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You stepping on landmines all the time. So you just gotta watch out.
Oh, there's talk to me about wishes. What is
Uh,
wishes and
yeah. So my new endeavor kind of was built out of like some past traumas that happened to me, but ultimately I started kind of devoting my time to try to give back. And I had been a one of the pioneers inside of a space that most people aren't. It's kind of a niche space in the virtual credit card issuing space. So everyone's familiar with Apple Card, things like this on their phone, buying stuff. But actually, the technology and infrastructure behind that, I was one of the pioneers that started that back in 2013, and have a lot of patents in that space. And you know, after my last fintech that I grew, I essentially pretty much had all the know-how to make donations transparent. So essentially, I think one of the biggest things that anyone that's made a donation or tried to contribute to a charity in the past has said it to me, myself, is where do the donations actually go? How do they use them? Every store is asking you for a dollar. Who's actually watching where that dollar goes? And I think really what I wanted to do is solve that problem. And what Wishes does is we make charitable donations transparent for really kind of from the donor's perspective, but we also help nonprofits raise more funds because when they're able to show where the money's going, which no charity really can do today in a real-time manner. There's no charity out there that can actually show where your dollars, because it all comes out as a clump, right? So you never know like what happens to your money. So that's really the problem that we were trying to solve. That's what Wishes is out there solving, and we're really a technology kind of built for donors and nonprofits to help them raise more funds, and donors to actually always understand where their donations are going. So
I love that. And we're going to get into the whole concept of that, what Wishes does, how it all works, breakdown for the donors and the businesses. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about your tech background just a little bit. Give us kind of the lay of the land of kind of how did you get into fintech, and particularly as your thing, and what did it grow into?
yeah, well, I mean, so I started at the bottom of the totem pole because I dropped out of college, and I really didn't, at that time, back in 1998, credit cards was still a brand new concept, honestly. There was like half of the business out there took credit cards, half of them didn't. And so it was like the wild, wild west of credit card processing. You didn't have to have a degree, you didn't really have to know much. You just had to know how to sell to businesses. And I just had a natural knack to be able to do that. So was door knocking, signing up businesses to take credit cards. And really that kind of turned into a business that brought me to about about $40 million a year by the time I was 32. Wow. So but I really kind of arbitrage big partnerships and things like this. So I didn't build technology. It was me and an assistant. She basically was back there fielding calls, but I was building big, huge partnerships, which was essentially building this big company that was making lots of revenue, but it was really small, 2-person company.
I love how you dismiss the fact that you were just in arbitrage.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, you just dismiss that we just bought businesses, really. That's all.
No, I mean, the arbitrage really, arbitrage is my middle name. It's like, no one really talks about arbitrage, but like I was the king of arbitrage. I literally had no risk. And I would just go in there and just make the difference in between the spread. And I grew that into a massive business. But I realized, it was really a commodity at the end of the day, and I had all these ideas about like what I wanted to do, but I really just I didn't know how to go about doing it. Like I never built technology before. I was a college dropout. I didn't have anyone around me that was an engineer because we're like we're like aliens, right? So like Venus and Mars, like engineers are here. Like I'm like way over here. Like we just don't understand each other that well. And so I didn't even know how to go about doing that. And so of course I do what any person that doesn't know anything about technology does is India, like that's where you go.
I'll just sell your stuff for you. It's all good.
Yeah, I was like, India. Yeah, that's where you go. Like, and so I did that, and that didn't work out very well. I spent a lot of money doing that. But to that point, I had made a lot of money, so I was willing to risk my own cash to try to figure it out. And I came up with this concept because I've been big in the hotel business, and so that's really how I grew a big part of my business. Is I got the second largest hotel association in the United States. But one of the biggest problems for the hotels at that time was the no-shows, right? So the biggest lost revenue item for a hotel, it's probably still today too, is when people book a hotel reservation and they just don't show up. And so the hotel, they try to charge you a no-show fee, but most people are like, oh, I call them. I call them. Yeah. And I mean, but that's it, so like but the hotel at the end of the day holds the bag, right? They can't sell the room and they get charged back from the customer. So this is a double loss revenue item. And so it stacks up pretty big for them. And so I really kind of figured out a way to tie the consumer to the transactions to eliminate the no-shows from happening. That was my first prototype. And that turned into a platform that was like an all-in-one platform. So over like 8 years, that what we originally started to do wasn't even a thing. So like we didn't even I put in $2 million, built a prototype. Then it was really just a piece of crap, honestly. And
in all honesty, most software back then was piece of crap.
I mean, well, like, listen,
come on,
don't know what
we were playing Pong at the time. Like, come on.
I was like, bro, yeah. So like, I was trying to figure it out, but I think the only way to really figure it out is to just figure it out and try to do it. And because no one really tells you how to do these things unless you're brought up in that background. You have a lot of the technical training, like you don't know where to start. You don't know what engineers to get. You don't know it's like building a house, right? So when you build a house on sticks and the product's so big, but it's still on sticks, like it's a skyscraper. That's just a good so like it was a skyscraper in New York City, and it was built on some twigs. You know what I mean? And it's so tall that you can't actually go and fix the twigs because it's just too big. Like, right. And so that's basically what happened. So you had to rebuild it. It's like, it's just a big mess. But that's how I figured it out. Honestly, that's how I figured out my tech is by doing everything wrong. Yeah, I mean, it was like the most craziest, like Twilight Zone,
So I got to ask, at that point, you've got at least 2 million in the bag. How did you maintain your sanity? One,
Uh,
did you? And two,
I didn't. I
like you
mean, I was
clearly got
actually,
through it.
yeah, no, I did. I mean, I was in a bad way. Like, so yeah, I spent the first part of my life, like my 20s and early 30s, like winning a lot. I never lost and I never had risk, like I put up, I started that business with less than $10,000 and I turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. And I was used to winning and having a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, like I was basically funding this giant idea that kept growing and the expenses kept mounting up. So I was constantly pouring cash into this thing, and losing all the time, because it was like, when you try to innovate and do things differently and try to build things, it's like you fail all the time. And I don't know how, I mean, I really I was just in a bad place. I think as a founder, it was probably one of the most difficult times of my life. I mean, and I always remember that it's like one of the most difficult probably times of my life. It's like losing. And I was out there in the public. I had 100,000 followers on Instagram and like all these things. And so like, to constantly lose, I felt like almost like this imposter, it's like, man, like, I'm out here and like everybody knows me and I like building this thing and yeah, I have money. I had money, I'm like pouring because like mind you, like when you stop raking in the cash from your old business and you just stop it, you start focusing on this new thing, that business kind of starts dwindling away, right? And meanwhile, you're pouring all that cash into here, right? So it was a rough. We raised a bunch of money, but it was just like we couldn't actually get it. We could never really get it right. I mean, we ended up like squeaking out of there by the hair of our chinny chin chin, but in doing okay. But during that time, the journey was just miserable. I hated it, and but looking
Absolutely.
back, I
Did you
mean,
sell it?
yeah, I got acquired.
Nice. Good. Good.
But yeah, but I think at the end of the day, like really what I was able to take out of it is I built this new company in less than 2 years, and it in with probably 100 less engineers, and
A
it's just because,
hundred less.
yeah, 100 less
Dude,
engineers. Yeah,
how many
maybe probably like
engineers did you have?
115. I had like 150 at the time. I
Oh
think
my God.
150 engineers. It was madness. It was chaos. And mind you, like it was being led by a guy that had no engineering background and just like it was just. I mean, it was nutty. It was
Okay,
crazy.
I just have to stop and say kudos to you. I bow down, like I would bow down to a woman who had like 8 kids. Like that's insane and awesome and crazy. And congratulations. One, the tenacity to go after that is fantastic. Two, the determination to stick through it and just keep going day after. That is like, excuse the expression, but knackers of steel. This is like, wow,
Yeah. Well,
congratulations.
I mean, I don't know.
And like,
Congratulations for surviving. Yeah, it's
well,
like
yeah.
you wake up
I mean,
with
come
problems,
on.
you go to sleep with
People
problems.
people wouldn't look at that, like go through a couple of months of that and go, okay, I'm
No,
done.
well,
I'm out of here, man.
this is why most businesses, I mean, if you look at like the majority of all businesses that start in the United States, there's like 9, 10 million businesses that start every year. But 95% of those fail. It's because most people, when it starts to get hard, they're like, fuck this, I'm going to go back to like a job. And, I have to have some stability. And I'm just one of those guys I just not willing to die, and so like, I'll like,
You've mentioned that.
yeah, no, I'm just not willing to die. Like it's not happening. Like I'll, I'll like I'm like the hand from the grave, like no, like that picture, what I'm talking about, like the hand from the grave.
Exactly.
That's fucking my life story. That should be it's gonna be on my tombstone one day.
Awesome. That is awesome. I wish you could bottle that. If you could bottle that, that would be like that's your next $1 billion sale right there. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I think you need to hear the congratulatoriness on that, because going through that, you go through it alone.
Yeah.
Nobody understands what you're going through. Nobody kind of gets it. the fact that kind of you've had that time lapse to be able to kind of recover from it and go, it all worked out and it's all great now. Awesome. And people that are going through that right now, I think, need to hear that it's okay, one, to be a special kind of crazy. Two, we love that. And when we find out about it, yes, we're absolutely going to give you the accolades, but there is no real accolades at the end of the day. It's just survival and going,
survive. How do you survive? Yeah. I mean, and
Huh.
people like, I think in a lot of things you do just to survive, it's like people like, oh my God, like you sell all your shit. Like I had watches, you know, cars, like, you know, it's like you give, like, I mean, you know, what are you
It's
willing to
all
do?
in.
What are you willing to do to survive? And, you know, and I think that's, at the end of the day, that's the people that actually make it really like, there's some sort of miracle that happens at some point, you know, like, oh, we got this investment, like, oh, whatever. But you have to stay alive and keep going forward for any of that stuff to happen. You know, you get acquired or whatever, like all those things happen eventually, potentially, you know, but in order for anything to happen good, like you have to figure out how to survive. And that's it, you know.
Right. It sounds like a really depressing story that the end of the game is just survival. But the rewards and the accolades, I think, at the end of that are fantastic. Like what you've gained from that is insane, because it also allows you to take on this project, which clearly is for the betterment of entire society, that I don't think you would have had well, and you can explain to me, do you think that that gave you the basis for
100%.
Moving on to wishes, and how did it play into it?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, you know, the fintech business is, you know, people like to say they're in fintech. Most people actually aren't. You know, there's two sides of the business, and because I've been in the business almost 30 years now, because most people like they're either on an acquiring side, like where they're the payment like processing side, where that's where I started, or you're on the card issuing side. And that's how you actually move the whole economy of a transaction. Like every purchase was a sale before that, you know, like there's suppliers, there's buyers, there's wholesale, there's all these things, but there's brokers and there's the arbitrage in between, right? But how do you become the whole equation of that? And I became fascinated with that. It was a painful journey, but I think, but that allowed me to kind of be the whole economy of a donation cycle, right? So from donations in all the way back to the outside, and actually make it transparent all the way through. That's the only way that I was able to do this, was because I became obsessed with the idea of becoming the whole economy of the transaction. And most people are either on one side of the business in the fintech space, or they're building just a part of the infrastructure of a fintech transaction. They call themselves fintech. I mean, there's lots of little ways you can call yourself fintech, but most people just don't really understand the whole enchilada. And so like I'm kind of rare that way, and that I know that. And I think that experience, because I tried to do everything and it took me forever, and I felt like I was building staircases into the ceiling like the Winchester Mystery House at most times. Like, what the fuck do we just do? I don't even fuck this is
here or where.
It's like, you know, and plus like I'm super ADD, so I'm like, yo, like, oh no this, you know. So, and then I didn't have anyone to tell me, slap me around and say, no dude, stop, you know. So like I really did build all the things, you know. And so you know, like that whole experience really kind of put me in a good position to build this. And I did it for like, I mean, less than 2 years. That other project was like almost 9 years. And this was like, I did it less than like a year and a half. And all the relationships I already knew everybody, you know, and I already knew what to expect, like how to go through compliance. Compliance is probably most insane part of building a project like this. Is the compliance to move money is insane. And so, yeah, I mean, but we were well ready for all that stuff. And yeah, that was, yeah. So all that stuff was to get me here for sure. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Hindsight is always 2020. So if you can't see what the lesson is, what you're gaining from it in the rearview mirror, just keep going forward. Trust me on this one. Works every time.
Steps. Yeah. I mean, the journey sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to hate the journey. And while you're in it, you're going to like want to quit. And that's what everyone's just, dude, so let me
Optimism.
just be a garbage man, dude. Like anything but this. Like, what am I doing right now? It's just so dumb.
This is such a good sales pitch for entrepreneurialism.
I mean,
But
like
if
this is
you're in it,
the
keep
truth.
going. Exactly. So talk to me about wishes. What exactly is that? And well, and not what exactly, that'll be a 3-day
Sure.
bombardment. Like surmise what it is and kind of who are the players in the game?
Sure. So I think, in order to make transparency a thing, we had to make it, we didn't wanted to not change consumer behavior, right? So, people had come into the past and say, oh, we created transparencies through cryptocurrency and blockchain. I mean, problem is that nobody really uses that as an actual like way to buy things and donate and do things. So like, it's a concept right now. It's not an actual thing.
It's like
Where
credit cards in the 90s.
Right. So I'm from the credit card space, and so but what is the big thing about cryptocurrency and blockchain? The big thing with this is they creates ledgers, right? That's the transparency. Okay, what do credit cards do? It creates
Great
ledgers.
bills.
Great, yeah, great debt. Well, what it does is it creates also ledgers. When you go to the store and you buy something from wherever you're buying it from,
Yeah.
there's a record of that transaction. That's exactly what blockchain is, right? So actually, credit cards has been using the blockchain technology for like 40 years. And so, yeah, it's this new concept, like of how to do transactions all over the time. It's really to digitize currency and eliminate cash long term. And that will happen at some point. But how we're used to actually doing transactions today is through credit cards and through our phones and through stores and that we buy stuff at. So when people actually, and then I looked at the biggest problems inside of like the GoFundMe model. GoFundMe is it's riddled with fraud. Platforms like this, there is no transparency because when you send somebody money to a story, someone says, "Hey, Tommy broke his arm, and we really need help," or my aunt has cancer, please help her. And then you see a special on Netflix that, oh, she didn't really have cancer. They actually spent this $500,000 on a trip to Jamaica and like they bought all these Mercedes. There's like specials on Netflix about this kind of stuff. You weren't aware of this?
No, I wasn't, but I don't fund anybody on GoFundMe unless I know them. So
Exactly, right. But even then,
wow.
we really never know the outcome of the situation, right? Because
Right.
how did they use the money? Like, did it help? Like, you don't even know if it helped them, right? Because you never hear back. So this is my problem. So what we did is we wanted to build a platform that rewarded donors. Number one, just as because why not? Because if you donate to anything, there is no rewards mechanism for that on the credit card side. So we wanted to reward them. Number two, we wanted to make it transparent so that donors could always understand what happened to the money, and then they can always understand the recipient's response. And number three, we wanted to make sure that that money was never misused. So, like, if you said that, hey, I I need to help Tommy with his broken arm, that they were actually using that money for medical bills and not going to the liquor store, right? It's whatever. So how we did that is we made it category specific. So for individual donations, if someone says, "Hey, I need groceries for my family," if you look at like the Maui fires, things like this, people needed a hotel to stay at. They needed to fly out of there. You could actually donate directly to buy a flight. You can buy a hotel room. You can buy groceries, but on your credit card, like just from the first step one, making that donation category specific to help somebody with the airline ticket. Number one, you probably get rewarded if you buy airline tickets or hotels or restaurant or groceries. So on our platform, your credit card issuer will recognize that as a grocery purchase or a hotel purchase or an airline ticket purchase. So you'll actually get your cash back and rewards for that, plus the tax deductible donation, because it goes through our nonprofit, which is a public charity. So that goes through there. And then since our nonprofit is actually making is governing the impact to that person, that's how you actually get the tax write-off as an individual. And this is why you can't get a tax write-off on GoFundMe or any of these platforms, because they're for-profit companies. So it goes through our nonprofit. You get the you get the cash back. Then we actually turn that donation into a virtual credit card. And then we push it directly into their phone. So their Apple or Google phone, or they can do it online. And the beauty of that is they can get the donation in is less than 24 hours.
Mm.
And then on our backside of our platform, we're connected to thousands of retailers. So think about anywhere that you shop today, Amazon, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Safeway, Kroger's, Route, whatever, right?
Mm.
All the biggest retailers in the United States, we're connected to all of them inside of our shopping portal. So think about like almost like the App Store where you can go in there and you can just connect to anything. Inside of ours is the Wishes store, and it basically has all the retailers and all the categories that you could possibly spend money. So you can instantly get those funds and instantly deploy those funds as a wisher. So if you have a story and you're saying, hey, I need help with the hospital, or because we're connected to hospitals and doctors' offices, things like this, or groceries, or let's say travel, we're connected to Expedia, booking.com, hotels.com, like Safeway, all the places. So they can instantly go in there, buy tickets, they can buy groceries, they can get them delivered, they can get a ride share, they can do all the things that they need to do in seconds. And you as a donor can always see what happens to the money in real time. So in real time, so you actually can see how those funds are deployed, how they're using those funds, how much funds that you donated are left for them to spend. Dollar to dollar return on impact for donors, so they always understand that, always get the tax write-off. Your tax deductions are always granted immediately as soon as you put dollars in, just like almost like a donor advised fund. So even if you did think about like a situation like Maui, right, where there was fires and all these things, but you never, like if you turn on the news, like every probably day or every like week, there's a new disaster, there's tornadoes, floods, whatever. You can actually just push funds into your Wishes wallet and you'll get the tax deduction immediately, but then you can deploy those funds instantly. So let's say that there's a flood, there's like a fire or a flash flood or something like this that happens on the news that you see, and you're like, dude, I'd love to help these people, this family can post a story, you can instantly deploy those funds instantly, but you could have had that money sitting in your wallet 2 weeks ago, just sitting there, right? And so it's kind of like almost works like a donor advised fund where you actually can direct where those funds go, who gets benefits from those funds. And then the same way for charities. The only difference between charities and individuals, and for individuals, it solves the fraud problem. Number one, because we're a card issuer. So instead of actually deploying funds and then never knowing where it goes, we always can understand where it's happening. And if they try to misuse those funds, we can just pull them back and refund our donors. And then secondly, for nonprofits, if you you don't have to be category specific, but they can raise for admin costs too, because let's face it, if you're in a business, you have admin costs. And if you're a real nonprofit, there is real admin costs. The problem with donors is we say, hey, listen, I don't know what's going to admin. I don't know what's going to impact. Like that's the real problem. That's real problem every donor has an issue with. It's like, because we've all heard stories about how funds are misused. And so, here nonprofits can actually disclose, hey, we have real people. We have like 100 people working here, and this is like charity water. They basically give 100% of their proceeds to the water mission that they're solving, right? They say, hey, listen, if you don't know us, donate towards the mission. If you know us, then we have a real business, we have real costs, right? And we're pretty much doing that at a larger scale for any nonprofit. And that actually helps them raise funds because people understand what's going to admin, what's going to impact. And, and there's a level of trust as well that's established with a nonprofit. But being a new nonprofit in this world is tough because people don't automatically trust because of what happened in the past. And so you ultimately have to be established in order to have that momentum to even raise capital. And so I think we help new nonprofits really solve that problem. Older nonprofits disclose how they're spending that money, and we help donors connect to any nonprofit or charity or cause that they want to, and always understand where that money is going. So I think, and then they can earn rewards, and that's just a benefit. If everything's created equal, and you can earn rewards on the same donation that you would have been given directly, but you had no insight, never know what happens, potentially never receive a tax deductible return, especially if you're doing it online. Most of these guys can't actually offer that immediately either. So it's a wallet that keep all your tax deductible stuff in as well. So
So I got 20 million questions. I'll only ask you 7.
perfect.
So I am assuming it's kind of like having a kid at university where you're going, okay, I know if I put money on a visa for you, that's going to fly by night and it's going to be gone. Whereas if I put money in the university bookstore, I know you're going to spend it on the books. If
Yeah.
I buy you, pizza cards, I know you're going to spend on pizza. So you have that understanding of kind of where that money is going, which is awesome. And is there, like, how does the charity or the people in need, how do they access those cards? Are they, hey, you have $20 on your Amazon card, like, how does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. So they basically they're setting up they set up a user account as a wisher, and then as soon as they have at least $100 in their account, they're able to access those funds. So the minimum amount to raise is a few $100, but for us, because we have to understand who those wishers are, to not circumvent like what is it called? Like KYC and AML stuff, like, just so there's misuse of funds, things like this. We need to understand. So we actually, once they get to $100 of funds, they can use them instantly, and they can use them on the phone. They can use them inside of our store, online, on the desktop, or so it's
They have an account with you and they're getting little notifications going, hey, you got money, you got money.
Yeah, exactly. And so they basically put their information in, then they claim their funds, and then they can use them instantly. So we fund 10 times faster than any competitor in the space today.
Nice. So in that respect, if Tommy's got a broken arm, we can go in, we can set up an account, say this is what's going on, and then we promote that account to social media and or whatever. And
then anyone, it's just almost works like almost exactly like GoFundMe, except it's fully transparent, rewarding, and tax deductible.
Nice. And there's, to me, the benefit too is there's kind of a tithing aspect of, if I just want to, if I'm collecting, if I were in the position of collecting paychecks every week and I wanted to put in X amount every week, I could put them in there so that I know that I'm tithing that amount, and then I can decide where it goes after that.
Yeah, you can actually do recurring transactions, not a problem. And then we also have a division of our company called Hope Gives that's in the faith-based space that actually does tithing and things like this as well. So
very cool.
Churches and whatever.
Right. And the other thing was, if somebody, like in my case, I want to donate to entrepreneurs that are kind of struggling and facing, they want a loan, they want money to go towards something. If somebody wants a sewing machine, can I just go in and go, hey, I want to go and buy these guys a sewing machine. Can I do that? Is that even feasible? Or do we just go on Amazon and go, hey,
no,
find a sewing machine on Amazon?
You can shop directly through our store too. So essentially you can buy products directly through our store as a donor or a wisher. And the cool thing about doing it as a donor is that you actually, all the cashback rewards and incentives that you earn, you can later, once those are pushed back onto your own donor card, you actually can distribute those any which way you want to. So any cashback earnings or returns that you get from shopping in our store, not only could you buy a sewing machine there and deliver it and push it to whoever you want, because it's basically like shopping on Amazon. All those rebates that you're earning, you can then later push out to some sort of cause or a crisis later. So there's no minimum to the amounts that you can donate. And you can, once it accumulates to a certain amount, you can push those out wherever you want.
So I'm especially kind of crazy. I have a whole ton of cards at places that I've never looked at. I have no idea what's on them. I'm sure I have like 1 million points on Air Miles.
Yeah.
So when I register with you, I can take all of those points and then kind of push them to somebody and say, hey, somebody that can use these can use these.
You could, yeah, you could, yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's a variety of different ways that you can use the platform, but I think, just as a shopper, you can actually shop and redeem your points just like you would shopping directly at another retailer. Yeah.
Very cool. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey?
Yeah. So if you're looking to find me, Chase Armour, you can find me on LinkedIn. But if you're looking to find more information on Wishes and get on our wait list, then go to wishes.inc, wishes.inc, and you can go to any of the personas that are on that homepage. So you'll see wishers, donors, or nonprofits. You probably anyone falls into one of those three categories. Just go in there, grab on the wait list, and as soon as we are out in the market, you guys can get on. We'll notify you guys, keep you guys abreast of what's happening. We're super close to launch, and so super excited, and we hope you're excited too. And so get on the wait list, and let's help change some lives. So,
and of course, we have no idea when people are going to listen to this. Hopefully they're listening for the next 3 years or so. So go and check it out, and go and register no matter when you're listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Or download the app. We're going to be in the iPhone store first. So.
Nice. I love it. So I get to ask you, and I'm going to ask you again. I mean, you went through kind of your entrepreneurial journey, but at what point in life did you know that you were special, kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I don't think I mean,
you haven't caught on to that yet?
No, I just, it's one of those things I just never doubted myself. I always I never knew that I had a hard time always like following directions, or, if I had some sort of manager or somebody above me, then I always at some point was like, yeah, I can do this better than them, and, I think that was kind of like always my mentality. I like always knew that I had to make my own way. And, so I just never doubted myself, even like this whole technology thing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just believed that I could do it and figure it out. If I can raise the money, if I could get the capital, if I could do this, if I could close this deal, I'll figure it out, And then I always close that deal. I always raise that capital. I always do this. So I always put myself in situations that I had to solve the next thing, but you have to do the first thing first, right? But I never let that actually deter me from going forward in the path. It's like, you can't just say, oh, if I get this capital, then I'll do it. It's like, you got to keep doing all the other steps in between before you get that capital, because if that capital happens, you got to be ready to execute, So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's my story.
I love it. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
No, I mean, I think I'm not trying to deter anyone from being an entrepreneur. Listen, like if you're doing something crazy, if you're doing something to trying to change the world, it's hard. It's not easy. And so like, don't let what I said like deter you from trying to go after like being crazy, going after some crazy large things. It's just hard to do it. But it's possible, if crazy guys like me can do it, then anybody can do it. So
I firmly believe that people like us have this notion that there is something better out there for them, and everybody else is going, oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And it's like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's like, yeah, it's going to be hard. Come on in. The water's great.
Yeah. I mean, you never know unless you try, and it just shows you what you'll find out what you're made of real quick. So
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it immensely, and I know how valuable it is.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Peeps, thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show, share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow. Thank you for listening to 7 to 8. If you're interested in upping your speaking game, be sure to connect with our guests with the links in the show notes, and connect with me to see how we can help you get your tech done for you and help your speaking dreams come true.